Welcome to Tennessee, where Southern hospitality meets scenic beauty, but it ain't all music to your ears. What's up, y'all? I'm Rachel in the Borough, your local real estate guide living in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Maybe you're considering moving to Tennessee, so let's talk about some things not so great that you definitely need to know about before deciding to live in Tennessee. Number one, limited public transportation. If you do not own a car in Tennessee, getting around most cities and towns, it's going to be difficult. The larger cities like Nashville, Memphis, Chattanooga, Knoxville, here in Murfreesboro, places like Clarksville, and even some medium-sized cities do have public transportation that you can obtain. Otherwise, most towns have very limited public transportation options. Most Tennessee residents do own a car, and nobody wants to have to rely on others for transportation, or worse, you have to Uber everywhere you go. Plus, those more rural areas may or may not have drivers available anyway. Number two, weather extremes. Let's get right down to it. Tennessee experiences a range of weather extremes, from hot and humid summers to cold snaps in the wintertime. Sometimes we can get severe weather like tornadoes, hailstorms, flooding, blizzard, and even the everyday storms can have winds high enough to cause property damage due to loose debris or falling tree limbs. Number three, limited cultural diversity. While it's true the larger cities in Tennessee like Nashville and Memphis, they're very diverse, the rural communities very far outside the cities will tend to be less diverse, and people living there will have less exposure to different cultures. One thing that increases the diversity of a medium-sized town or city is if there is a college or university located there. That tends to attract international students who may then decide to stay on and live there. Growing up in Cookeville, Tennessee, for example, we had fewer than 50 Black students in my high school, and there were around 1,200 students at that time. However, if you were to go look at the demographics of the local college in Cookeville, Tennessee Technological University, it's much more diverse within the student population, and it adds to the diversity of the area, even if demographically Cookeville looks a certain way. That's why that was 20 years ago. It's much more diverse now. Number four, healthcare access. Here's a big one: access to adequate healthcare facilities. While there are healthcare facilities across the state of Tennessee, rural communities within the state may have limited access to specialized care compared to more urban areas. This is a very common reason why I get people moving to Murfreesboro, because they want to be within 30 miles of a specialist in the Nashville area. Of course, there will be plenty of general hospitals across the state, but some areas will have longer commute times to get to the hospital, in which those longer travel times, they aren't good in the case of an emergency. Number five, income and job opportunities. The last con of living in Tennessee are the income and job opportunities. While the cost of living in Tennessee is generally lower than the national average, income levels and job opportunities can vary across the state. Where I live in Murfreesboro, for example, the housing is high compared to other parts of Tennessee, with an average price point in the mid to high 400s, but the median income in Murfreesboro is close to 100,000. As I mentioned, I grew up in Cookeville, and the popularity of moving there has sharply increased their median home prices there, nearing 400,000 for a single family home, while the median income in Cookeville is still only around $60,000 a year. Cookeville in Putnam County, it's one of the more stark examples of how wage growth has not kept pace with the rising cost of housing. This problem, unfortunately, isn't unique to Tennessee. If you live in Tennessee and have some more cons that you want to mention down in the comments, please do so. There's absolutely no way to make this list all-inclusive and have a short video. But not all is doom and gloom, and there are still people that financially can and want to make the move to Tennessee. Why? It's a dream to many to have a normal life of peace and content. Tennessee can give you. Here's some of the pros of living in Tennessee, and number one, you got it. There is no state income tax, and Tennessee has a strong economy. Make sure to give this video a like if you love less taxes. Did you know Tennessee is one of the few states that do not levy a state income tax? Filing your taxes is simpler. It opens residents up to having more disposable income, and it's friendly for those that are looking to retire in Tennessee. For retirees living on a fixed income, the absence of state income tax can significantly reduce your tax burden, and it makes Tennessee much more affordable. remarkable. Especially within the last few years, we've seen how remote workers take advantage of this because you're able to take home more of your pay. And not only that, having no state income tax makes Tennessee more attractive for businesses. So a lot of businesses set up headquarters right here in Tennessee. And the number 2 pro of living in Tennessee are the different cultural attractions and diversity. So while there is less diversity of population demographics in the more rural areas, the larger cities within Tennessee are melting pots of different types of people and religion. Tennessee has a lot of cultural attractions as well. Historical landmarks, museums, art galleries, and festivals for everything from biscuits to tomatoes to strawberries to moon pies. You name it, we've got a festival for it. We are also famous for the Bonnaroo Music Festival. It's right here in Middle Tennessee in Manchester. Oh, and by the way, if it's hash brown casserole that you crave, you can also head on over to Lebanon, Tennessee to visit the nation's very first Cracker Barrel. And whether you enjoy a drink or two or you're a teetotaler, there are several distilleries in Tennessee that you can learn a lot about that part of our state's history and see exactly how it's made. And we can't not talk about the thriving music scene in Tennessee. Nashville is the nation's music city, and Memphis is the home of the blues. Any of the larger cities in Tennessee will have live performances that you can enjoy, and even some of the smaller towns will have these fun bars that we have with live music. They're called honky tonk. Really fun. You should check it out. Number 3, mild climate and scenic beauty. Tennessee is known for its stunning natural landscapes, including the Great Smoky Mountains, beautiful lakes, lush forests. This provides ample opportunities for outdoor recreation and personal enjoyment. You've heard me say it before, Tennessee experiences all 4 seasons. Our climate here is generally mild, with relatively mild winters compared to the northern states at least. And we have warm summers. That way you can enjoy outdoor activities pretty much year-round here. Number 4, you've heard the phrase Southern hospitality, and that's because in Tennessee we have a sense of community. Whether that's your church, your work, or maybe just a group of like-minded people that you've met online somewhere, there's a strong sense of connection to each other and support for one another. Maybe you've also heard Tennessee be referred to as the volunteer state. But beyond that we have volunteers here, do you know exactly what that means? So it was during the War of 1812. The president was looking for men to raise their hand and willingly fight for the U.S. Because Tennessee had more men than any other state step up and quite literally volunteer. That's how we got the nickname the volunteer state. You're going to see that your neighbors are willing to lend a helping hand in a time of need. You might see this through an organization like a church or a school, or it could just be a random act of kindness on the highway. And lastly, is the cost of living in Tennessee. It's still a lower cost of living compared to the vast majority of the country, with housing near the national average, affordable health care, and everyday expenses like the cost of filling up your gas tank. That allows residents in Tennessee to stretch their dollars much further. I'll leave a link to a video where I dive a lot deeper into the cost of living in Tennessee and explore some of the different expenses. And if you're planning on moving to Tennessee, it's definitely a must watch. Like and subscribe with the bell so that you'll stay up to date with everything real estate in Middle Tennessee, and I'll see y'all at the next video.